Good afternoon, muchachos. Happy Friday, February 2nd. Weekend is upon us. Well, my weekend started yesterday, but that's neither here nor there. I hope you're doing well today. Pretty straightforward. You had a discussion question to respond for today on the Israeli-Hamas war. Who is responsible for that? Then you have your test. Again, test today, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Get it done by Tuesday. You got a few days to do it. We'll discuss the question. We'll be done. You have the rest of the time to do your test. Hopefully you've checked in with me. Again, there's no Zoom today. If you haven't already checked in with me, make sure you send me an email before the end of the day. Let's get to it. We're going to use the discussion questions from the other classes that I have. Because I'm up a little bit of a time crunch here, and you guys haven't been able to respond because I'm filming this about 15 minutes after I filmed the other one that I posted for Thursday. Kind of going through some of these answers here. A lot of people are talking about, a lot of people's answers talked about both Israel and Hamas being responsible for the conflict. Both sides bear responsibility, as both sides are, trying to fight for land. There are some pretty good examples in here, some pretty good thoughts in here about, whether or not Israel is the aggressor here, because they are kind of taking on kind of a colonizer persona with their treatment of the Palestinians. Some people think it's Hamas, that they shoulder the blame for this due to their tendencies to be terroristic in nature. Logical. A lot for both. Some for Israel, some for Hamas. Joe Gaxeter talks about the presidents. I think he's referring to government in general. Perhaps the government is to blame for this, whether it be the Palestinian government or the Israeli government or other governments around the world, the leaders of those governments, making it an issue, making it a one side versus the other side versus trying to figure out what the solution is. Also a logical response. Joe Sanders talks about the United Nations not being able to facilitate peace. Eva Matson talks about government's responsible, didn't spell that correctly, responsible because wars are good for the economy. There's no question that conflict is good for the economy, right? It increases demand for certain things. If there's an increase in demand, there's an increase in price. If there's an increase in price, that means there's going to be an increase in demand is going to lead to an increase, not in price, but in demand for labor, which gets people jobs and gets people more money. Logical. What else do we have? Let's go to the other hour that I have. Olivia Sutton writes that it's too complicated to say any one party is completely to blame. And then she falls back to Israel due to their role in the last 70 years. There is no good guy. Serenity talks about it takes two people to tango. Interesting. Tyler to go. There are many factors and faces to this. Not one single group is to blame. It says a lot about the cycle of violence, and Hamas is willing to perpetuate it. Israel won't back down. Interesting. There's a lot of different ways you could go with this. A lot of different ways you could analyze this question. So one side, is it the other? Is it both sides? Or again, is there some sort of outside influence? But this has been going on for 76 years. How many presidents have been in office in the United States? I mean, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden. I mean, that's 14 presidents. 14 presidents. No one's been able to figure this out. The United Nations has been created since the end of World War II. They have not been able to figure it out. How many times has the Israelis, how many prime ministers have the Israelis had in the last 76 years? They've never been able to figure it out. How many governments have the Palestinians had? Is it just the Israelis and the Palestinians? Is it the outside world? Now you've got non-secularists like Iran getting involved in the mix. Who is to blame? Is everybody to blame? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm very interested in seeing what your answers are, what your thoughts are on this question. So again, if you haven't already, please respond, paragraph form. Let me get your thoughts here. You have a test. Your test is going to be open today, Friday. You have until Tuesday to complete it. Next week, we're going to start looking at the Second Amendment and gun control versus gun rights. That'll be our next topic, which will take us pretty close to the end of the trimester. Yeah, there's really nothing more for me to go through here with you. If you have a question, shoot me an email. I'll do my best to try to respond over the weekend, but there's a pretty good chance that may not happen. And if I can't get to your email today or over the weekend, I'll see it on Monday when I'm back in the building. But good luck with your test. Get your missing work in, review your notes, take your exam, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend.